In this example, we need to factor completely the expression x to the fifth y cubed plus 9x squared y. Well, what's the first thing we do in every single factoring problem? It's look for a greatest common factor. Well, looking at the coefficients, I only have an invisible 1 here and a 9 here, so there's no numerical common factor. But how about variables? Yes, they both terms have x's and y's, so I can definitely pull out x raised to some power. How do you decide on what power of the x? You look at the coefficients on the x's. I have x to the fifth and x squared, and you factor out the smaller exponent on that variable. So I'm going to factor out an x squared. And then on the y, here I have y cubed. Here I have y, and what exponent are we too efficient to write? There's a 1 up there. So which is the lesser of 3 and 1? It's 1. So I'm just going to factor out y to the first power, which we normally just write as y. And what does it leave behind? Remember that factoring out a common factor is like taking our terms. The first one is x to the fifth y cubed, and you divide it by the common factor, x squared y. We normally don't write out this step, but I wanted to detail it in this example. So now I have like bases. I have x to the fifth over x squared. I'm dividing, so I'm going to use the quotient rule. So it's going to be x raised to the 5 minus 2 is 3. Do the same with the y's. You're dividing y cubed by y, and remember that's y to the first power. So you're dividing the bases, you subtract exponents, 3 minus 1 is 2. So when I factor a x squared y out of my first term, I get left with an x cubed y squared. Now I'm going to do the same for the second term. I have 9x squared y, and I'm going to divide it by my common factor of x squared y. Well, the x squareds reduce, the y's reduce, so I get left with 9 times 1 over 1, which is just 9. So I just have plus 9 as my second term. So now I've factored out my common factor. Looking at what remains, this binomial, are there any common factors left that I didn't catch the first time around? No. And then this is not going to factor anymore. It's none of my special cases. So my answer is x squared y times the quantity x cubed y squared plus 9. So that is the answer when I factor the given expression.